All right, folks, welcome. We're here with season 2, spring training, starting off with recruiting. I feel like the people want to see some recruiting action. We're a little behind in the first videos, so if you're a hardcore The Deuce fan and you're here watching my channel, you know you deserve it. You deserve a little something. You deserve to see the recruiting, so I think I'll walk you through a little bit. Just a quick, we'll go over the storylines. We'll talk storylines. Sometimes we'll have other people on talk about what's going on with the storylines, what's going on with the recruiting battles that are going on. But you guys didn't really get to see that season 1 so far, so hopefully we get a little bit of season 2. So this one's gonna be a little bit longer because we have to introduce kind of how the recruiting's gonna work, and then also we gotta catch up on the storylines and explain how everything goes. So this one's gonna be probably a lot longer than all the other videos, but we'll just kind of muddle our way through it. It's gonna be very informal. Feel free to talk in the comments about what can be better and shit like that, but I'm not putting effort into this shit. Just gonna throw it out there. So here we got the dual threats class. Last one was To the Moon, which had like a lot of power guys and velocity guys. This one, we got dual threats, lots of two-ways players. So we'll see. Oftentimes to make a two-way player in this game, it's kind of struggle. The only really good way, I guess I'd say, is the Acon, but this class has a bunch of two ways, so we have to decide, are they good at both, are they good at one, trying to balance their priorities and shit. But here's it was kind of like a teaser, so we're gonna meet some of the guys from the class. This was released like mid-season 1 when he was setting it all up. We got Enrique Ramirez, a blue chip shortstop outfield guy. You could see right away that he loves his family, friends, and fans. Emphasis, we'll keep a look at that as we go through the storyline, that's for sure. John Andabelli, I think he's a two-way. Yep, pitcher outfielder. So he's got a little bit of everything, but he's got some off-the-field stuff. Whatever. I want to save this for in case Frisk ever gets through it. He'll tell you the story how he wants to be told. But we got Garrett Michelson, another two-way guy. Again, some questionable about social life stuff, but nasty at pitching, and also good enough on outfielder, I guess, on this guy. And then you got Manning McLaughlin, who's pretty much nasty at pitching, not very good at fielding, but he wants to do both. So they're saying maybe he wants to do just pitching. And you got Jermichael Sequins, a two-sport athlete, also a two-way player, nasty at pitching, beast athlete. So he does everything. Oh, three-sport athlete. Sorry, star point guard on basketball and quarterback in football and pitcher. This guy's crazy. He does it all. And then you got Cole Rickman. Got some strong power and punishment is his thing, but got some sus stuff going on behind the scenes. And then now, so that was kind of a teaser. This is like the meat and potatoes now. This is how this recruiting class is going to actually go. This was a huge decision coming up. So I kind of want to jump ahead, honestly, to, this right here. This is how the recruiting system is going to work this time. You have 8 weeks. You have a budget of $7 million, and right away subtract $1 million for that last week. You get $1 million extra in that last week. So now you have, let's say, $6 million. Then you have to basically divide up your $6 million into 8 and split those among these actions. So you can't repeat any of these actions on the same guy. So like, could I do a care package to 5 different people? Yes, but I can't send 5 care packages to one person. The only other people that are kind of different are send head coach and host recruiting visit. You can only do those one time on a recruit. So that's pretty much like you can't spam that on the same guy every single week. You can't put the 450K guy. You can't send your head coach to the same dude every week, and you can't host him. You can't come over every weekend. So that's this. However, so we talked about that 6 divided by 8. What if you wanted to also get a special perk to modify your recruiting process and those points? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the potential perks. So we basically did a blind draft on all these guys. You had to submit a bid offer, and they had a starting minimum salary. And then you could get them to come to your team and help you be your scouting director. So you can already see who we got with scout guys, but we have H.E.S. Street, or I don't know even how you want to say that, but we'll call him Mr. Street. Mr. Street, he's ridiculous. So he was the most expensive guy. He actually only had 1 bid on him, which was for the min bid, so Stanford got away with a heist there, but basically every single action he does, he gets plus 40 points. So we show that send email is 10 points. It still only costs you 10 points, but now it gives you 50 points. Or it costs you 10K or whatever, but now it gives you 50 points. Also, which is nuts, you can basically see what everyone else is doing during the season with recruiting actions. So you submit it for the week, and then it all gets revealed at the end of the week. But now, he is the one person that no one can see what he's doing the entire time. So he's going to come out of nowhere and steal who he wants. Of course, we talked about that weekly budget, though. So that is the main issue with him. So you subtract that 6 million minus this 2.2 million, divide by 8, and it was like 460K a week or some shit. So he has like a smaller weekly budget every week. So basically his strength is he can go after who he wants and probably win them like pretty easily, but he can only do that on a few guys because his budget is only so much. So Emma Goldstein, so kind of you'll see a theme. It's kind of like the better version than the worst version coming up. But she adds 30 points to every action. Her fog of war is only scouting. So the one thing that you can see him doing is when he scouts someone, the scouting info is public and who he scouted is public and the points are public. But she is completely hidden, so she can scout someone and then only that team that scouted them will know who it is, and also she can't get locked out in a couple spots. We'll talk about the lockout thing later on. Then we had, so that went to Florida, and then we had Sarah Jansen. So this was the big bidder. Basically season 1, scouting was public kind of the entire time, and there was a lot of surprises on signing day, let's just say, when people signed their players they thought were good and then they ended up being dog shit. So everyone really wanted to know scouting info this time. And Sarah Jansen had 3 bids, ended up signing for like 2.3 million or some shit. And it was ridiculous. Or 2.1 or something. It was something around that. It was around Adrius's number. But she basically scouts someone once, gets their entire information, which is nuts because they have like, I don't know, just a hitter has fielding, pitching, fielding, regular fielding, catching, arm strength, hitting, or contact power, run speed, and then also with all the two-way guys, you get all of that immediately with all the pitching stuff, and you get all abilities, which if you want to scout abilities, it's like a ridiculously long time, one by one. So that's just a nuts thing. You scout someone once, boom, you know exactly who they are. The only downside is you don't have as many like extra point bonuses like Street and Goldstein do. So it's harder to fight with them one-on-one, but you have so much more information than everybody else. So 3 people bid on her, ended up going to Arizona. They had the biggest bid. And next up we had in the second round, Ron Saffel. Tennessee tried to get Sarah, ended up getting Saffel. Kind of worked out a deal with some of the other people to get Ron, and he got him for the mid-bid because of that deal. But he's like, again, the worst version of Sarah. Scouts him once, gets the rating. Scout him a second time, you get the abilities. And also that scouting Fog of War actually runs out halfway through the season. So it's not as good because you can only really, I think he can afford like 9 scouts a week or something with his budget. So there's like 60-something players in the class, so he can't get to everybody in time, but he can still get some stuff done, you know? Next up, we had Carmela Ryan. Not gonna lie, this is the person that I put my bid on, but I put my bid for just over the minimum. Meanwhile, someone bid double the salary. So it adds 250 points to all visits, which is really good. That's a lot of points right there. And also a hard commit at plus 1,000. So one thing with the visits, didn't really cover it on the other slide, but for a visit, you basically host them, you get 150 points. Then for every single win you win that week, you get plus 100 points. So you have 4 games in a week too. So you could get 150 plus 400 and then plus the 250 from the bonus. So that's like ridiculous. It's a huge swing if you can go 4-0 on your week that you have a visit. Plus you get emails plus 20, which that's pretty nice too. But that hard commit at plus 1,000, the way the recruiting signing works is you have to offer a scholarship to them. But if you're up by plus 1,500, they soft commit to you. And then if you're still up 1,500 the next week, then they hard commit to you. Hard commit at like plus 1,000 is huge. Just boom, lock it in, that's it. And then obviously if you get to the end of the season, it's just whoever has the highest left if you don't have a plus 1,500 lead. So Carmela is nuts for basically rushing people. Want to go all in on someone, hope no one wants to fight you. Get them at plus 1,000, boom, move on to the next one. But we'll see if the person who got them, Georgia, can do that strategy well. And I had to settle for Keisha Clark after I missed out on Carmela Ryan. Carmela basically has the phone call pitch boost, so plus 30 to phone calls. And then also at that final stage, I get an extra 300K. So that's pretty nice because I can basically afford an extra scholarship that last week. So I can wait till the end for that. And then also I can't get locked out in West and Midwest. The phone calls are pretty nice because they only cost you 20K, but they get modified, which we'll talk about later, by like a, I don't know what I want to call it, but like a school ranking for a bunch of different categories. So that's pretty nice. I can spend like 20 and then I'm getting like, I think up to 170 now on points. So like plus 150 points based on what I paid is pretty nice. No one took Craig, which was the worst version, and then no one took J. Kim, which was the worst version of the other guys. Then we had a bunch of shitty versions. Felicity and Arthur pretty much just had the scouting fog, so no one knew what you were doing for half the year, but cost you a little bit. Kit Anderson just gave you money because she was so shit. And then the last guy, Edward Thomas, the old man, actually gives you plus $2 million. So you have $1 million to spend every single week, plus the last week you get $2 million to spend, which is like pretty nuts. The phone call fails kind of shitty. Because 7%, and then you're expecting like 100-something points to get wiped out. Could be shitty. The inaccurate scouting, that does affect everyone, except for obviously the people that have the scouting fog. So that can actually kind of be like a strategy thing too. But obviously no fog of war for any of these guys either. But that big budget is pretty nuts. So honestly, Thomas is one of the top ones. He did miss out on the scouting Sarah chick, but he had to settle for this. Here was the budgets, the weekly budgets after the math. Had a round to the nearest 10K. Arkansas again had that huge budget. Oregon up next with that 640K with the cheaper salary, and a couple other guys below as well. But yes, Arizona actually did bid above street for Sarah because they have the smallest budget. And then I think pretty much don't need to show anything else there. That was our link for that. Again, so the phone call pitch, you get modified pretty nice, but you only pay for this 20K. The send head coach, the big bang, but also costs a lot of money. Again, that's going to be strong for like Arkansas because they can afford it while other teams really can't. Recruiting visits again, plus 100 for win, and then everything else is pretty much you pay for what you get. So we'll talk quickly about storylines for week 1, and then we got to still talk about how the sheet works, and my throat is getting a little dry already. So started off with Enrique Ramirez and his 3-star brother Alexander La Ramirez, shortstop and second base, playing up the middle. However, they show that Alexander La Ramirez is kind of dog shit. G12 catching, that's like basically how many errors they're going to make, which is not how many, but that's their error rating basically. So he's going to make a dick ton of errors, not what you want to see, but you can kind of see right away that like some of these storylines, they like modify certain people, or also they modify points for certain things. So you kind of have to be careful here because you don't want to see Enrique start trying to pull like package deals, like, oh, I'm only going where Alexander goes. So you can see a lot of teams kind of thought the same way in their recruiting week, in the spring training week. But we'll show that later. Next up, we had Jermichael Sequins. We talked about him earlier. He's that two-way beast. You see a multi-sport athlete, just athletic specimen. Contact 85, control 81, pretty nice overall. And then we talked about Cole Rickman earlier. They show his contact, and he's at 84. However, unfortunately, yeah, he's keeping that Addy in the locker. He got caught, so we have to watch him, see what happens there. Cole, not a good look, buddy. And we got Manic McLaughlin again. We saw earlier he's nasty. He might be nasty at pitching, but his shortstop, his play is not too good. He's F28 at shortstop, which is not great. That means he's not good in the field defensively at all. Not to mention we don't even know who's hitting yet. So, but Mama Manning, she wants Mama. Mama wants her to play. Mama wants him to play two ways. See if she gets what she wants. And then a oof. We got Garrett Michelson. We kind of talked about him earlier. A little. They wish he tried harder, you know. There was 154. It showed here. He's got the ladies after him though, so who's winning after all. And I think this is the last one for spring training, so I don't want to skip ahead. But Jeremiah Sterling, piece of shit. Everybody knows fuck the Astros, so he's gonna drop him to a 1-star. Strong. It's funny because he's like a 4-star catcher with a strong defensive record, and then he's sign stealing. So he's good at defense. Maybe his dog shit at hitting needed the help. All right, that's it for this storyline. So we'll go to the actual spreadsheet now. So this already has the information entered for the spring training stuff, but this is kind of how it is formatted out. Personally, I delete the positional ranking columns as my own copy, just so I can freeze these left columns so I can kind of scroll left and right to have the names kind of follow. But you have blue chip prospects, which that means you automatically know, not automatically, whatever, but you get the actual ratings for these players. So like he is actually 100 run speed, he's actually 96 contact, etc., etc. Same thing for these guys. So right away, you can see some nasty guys. Vincent Marquez, pretty nasty pitching. Chase Underwood, pretty nasty pitching. The special pitch is always nasty. 155 is pretty hard. Enrique is obviously a beast. So these top 3 always are pretty good. However, they can change. We actually in season 1 had a blue chip as part of a storyline kind of fall off, and then he basically became a much worse version of himself, which kind of blew for the person that got him. However, that's what happens sometimes in life, Then you have kind of 5-star. You have basically scout grades. Oops. Yeah, this already has a lot of information entered, but you have scout grades that could be anything like 20 to 80, but then it's kind of random too. So like they're not always perfect. You'll see kind of here, this guy ended up being 1-1 power average. He was 40-40 scout grade. So it is important to scout because you don't know what you're going to get. So that's kind of like the choosing between the recruiting directors and the scouting directors. It's definitely important to scout because you have no idea what's going to really be beyond that number. But yeah, so otherwise they're kind of ranked. You have their position and shit. You have their year. So basically, this would mean like they come in as a freshman, they come in as a sophomore, or they come in as a junior, etc. Same thing. There's senior JUCO guys, so you get them as a senior. You have a home state, which is important because you can pitch proximity to home, as you can see there. You have initial interest, so this is completely randomized through AI. If you start off as number 1, you get plus 250 points, and then I think it's 100 for number 2, 50 for number 3. This is all the same as season 1 so far, of everything I've pretty much said. And then again, top priority, so again randomized. This guy likes school reputation. I think it's school reputation, proximity to home, coach reputation, academics, and early playing time. Those are like the 5. And then we'll look at the team rankings for each of those categories. So every team has like a number assigned. But as we saw with the phone call, you basically have you can phone call one of these things. If it's their priority, you get plus 40 bonus points, but also your rating in that thing might not be good. So you might still want to pitch something else. Like for example, this dude's in Texas. I have a 5-star coach reputation. So I think Texas is a 3-star pitch for me. So really like it's like plus 2 stars if it's their priority. So like a coach reputation pitch, phone call, and a proximity phone call are basically the same exact thing for me. It'd be the same thing for this guy, but it's different for every single guy. So kind of leaves you to certain stuff. Talked a little bit earlier about the top 3 lock. So what happens here is after the end of the regular season, basically locks out all the other teams that are not top 3 on the guy, unless they had the perk like don't get locked out of a certain state, or don't get locked out of region, or street can't get locked out of anywhere. So that's also important to kind of get into your guys that you want to go for early on, and then go from there, because it also you go through the whole scholarship thing, which we'll kind of talk to soon. I guess we can kind of talk about it now. So every team has 6 scholarships to offer. You basically can sign 6 of these guys. We have the whole scouting thing, and then we have signing day at the end. We go through, and all the top teams, if you're number 1 on the guy and you offered him a scholarship, you get him, hooray. But let's say you were number 2 on the guy, you offered a scholarship, now you get that scholarship returned to you, and then you're going to have to go through basically all the guys that you are first, second, or third on that you didn't offer a scholarship, and you're going to say, do you want to offer them as you move down the list? So it's kind of nice to have backup guys. If you miss out on your top 4 and then that's all you had, you're going to end up with like walk-ons, so everyone else is going to get their pick before you get to that. So it's good to have backup options. Again, we talked about the scout grades and all that. One thing we did add from this season to last season was ability scout grade 2, because that was kind of part of some of the giant swings for some rankings. Like some guys just ended up having like one ability and it's like, oh no. So now it's kind of good to have that as something else we could scout. And then here is like kind of like you'll update which team did what, or which team did something on them that week. Again, we can't see anything that if it was a fog of war action, we can't see it. And then of course we have the points, and again they are updated with spring training actions already, so it's kind of already there. Let's show the team rankings for all the certain stuff. Recruiting data, and if you are wondering, you want to see this formula I made? You want to see this formula? So first did most of the sheet work, but I kind of did like the formula stuff afterwards to try to put everything all together. And my goodness, look at that bad boy. I think Chris did this first part right here, and then you also did the top 3 lock formula too. But we did a big boy. It's a beefy boy. All right. Again, quick. Back to this. So here's all the rankings. School reputation, we have several teams at 5. This is kind of based on their in real life record and also season 1 record of the last year. So based season 1, I think I went up 1, Florida went up 1, and Arkansas dropped 1. I think those were the only changes from season 1. Coach rep was kind of based on how we were doing in other tournaments. Now it's based on your recruiting class. So if you're a top 2 class, you move up 1. And of course, all these are 1 to 5 if you can't tell. But if you're a top 2 class, you move up 1. If you're a bottom 2 class, you move down 1. The top 2 classes based on star count last time was actually Oregon and Arkansas, so we moved up 1. Well, I was already 5, so I didn't change. And then Tennessee and Georgia moved down 1. So it's nice for me right now because, as you can see, I'm the only 5 coach. So that's kind of a boost I get for everyone. Basically, if it's a coach rep priority, it's a big boost for me. And I'm already a phone call pitch guy too, so bonus. So it's pretty nice. Academics, we have 1 5-star Stanford. Again, that's kind of busted for them because so far it's just basically like was their on in real life ranking. So we haven't been able to change this. It's just like Stanford's just handed a nice 5-star, but they also got to pick their school kind of early based on other leagues, so it all works out. And then early playing time's kind of like the help you catch up in Mario Kart type of deal. You got the worst star team gets like the 5, and then it's kind of like a standard deviation thing to get average star count. And here we have Oregon and Arizona at 4. So that's still like I can kind of compete on some of these, but not the best. But yeah, school rep I can kind of compete. Coach rep, obviously I'm looking good. Academics, And then early playing time, pretty good. And then you have over here proximity to home. So we have to go by every single state. And then it's just like if it was in a certain region, it would be a 4 if you're in the same region. If you're the same state, it's a 5. And then they had other assignments too. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff, but how to get through it. If there's like any more questions about recruiting and stuff, feel free to drop it. It's like it was definitely a lot. We asked Chris like 100 different questions as time went on. We'll talk about some recruiting actions real quick for the spring training, and then we'll move on. But as you can see, I kind of went in from the start on La Ramirez and Enrique La Ramirez, both the brothers. Just in case some storyline shenanigans with the 2 ways. Did scout Alex. We'll look at Alex real quick because I scouted fielding, arm strength, and contact on him. And I have to say it was not impressive. Right here. It is not impressive, my friends. D fielding, G catching, C arm at least, but contact is a 16. He's pretty much unplayable. So if nothing changes, he's not looking good. It's not looking good for the package deal if that's going to be the case later on. Ashton Brooks, basically I saw a bunch of, I need pitching, so I kind of went after a bunch of pitching. I went after shortstop. My biggest needs this year based on graduating. My shortstop's graduating, my second base is graduating, an outfield, a first base, and I think 1 or 2 pitchers. So I kind of need like a bunch of stuff, but kind of looked at outfielders. Again, a lot of the coach up guys, a couple of the storyline guys usually are pretty good. This was a coach up guy, 4-star, first base, something. And we'll kind of look at some of their ratings as things went on too. I think we should go through the ratings. So yeah, Florida looks like they're also trying to go after Enrique, and also they did a little bit on Alex too. So he's kind of picking up what Frisk is putting down, I think. Marshall Harrington looks like a nasty guy. We'll kind of look at him, and then he went after Chase Underwood. So again, he has a boost where every action he does gives bonus points. So you can see a lot of emails because he only spends 10, he gets 40. Pretty nice. And then Tennessee goes after some storyline guys. Again, he's a scout guy, so we don't see most of his stuff. He's only 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 10, 160, and 70. Yeah, we're already over him. So, and he had much more of a budget to spend, so he's been definitely scouting several guys that week. And then same thing for Florida. If he was scouting guys, we can't even see it. But Arkansas, they have the big ass budget, so you can see some big ass shit come out right away. James Charles, boom, head coach, sent. That's like some small teams' budgets. I think that's like Arizona's whole budget right there. Boom, sent. What else did he do? Yeah, I don't think he hosted any visits in spring training because he only had that one game. But several phone calls. Yeah, that 450 is just like a huge swing compared to other people because if you do that on someone, it's just like, yeah, you're gonna compete with them, but then boom, you're kind of out on like all the other prospects. Not for Arkansas though, because their budget is so huge. He's probably sending like head coach almost every week, while other teams are probably gonna do it like once, if that. Stanford, again, we only are gonna see their scouting stuff, so you can see he scouted a decent amount, 100, 200, 300K of his like 400 something K budget. So he definitely spent a lot of that scouting, but I'm sure he also did like a lot of cheap stuff like emails because he's again getting that bonus stuff. And then we have Georgia, a little awkward Georgia, not really understanding what the heck's going on, I think, but they did 3 phone calls. We had to tell him, hey, you got a lot of budget left over, hey. And then he did a couple more stuff, but still didn't even spend his budget. Then Arizona, again, surprised they even did anything this week, but like have to try to do something to stay in it. I think they're going to be out on these guys in the long term because they're just top guys, but he's definitely scouting again behind the scenes. So you see only the 3 actions. And he's got the scouting fog with Sarah Jansen. And then Georgia had their makeup items. So we'll quickly look at some of their ratings that were revealed, and then we'll call it. Ooh, I do have to. I think I showed something I'm not supposed to. That's okay. Nope, I didn't put it in this one. So we kind of talked about earlier. There was a deal made for the secondary scouting director, Ron Saffel or some shit. Basically, I said yes, you can have the Ron Saffel for mid bid, but you got to scout a couple players for me. So I was a little nervous I had to put it in here, but I didn't put it in my player that I scouted, which is nice. So ratings that were revealed: Annabelli. See, he had his fielding at DD. It's not great, not bad. You can see he's got a couple of high scout grades left. Also high ability there. 154 velocity shown on Garrett Michelson, which is pretty nice. I think that was from the storyline, actually. Again, this was a guy I was kind of hoping for because you can see he had Oregon #1. He had coach reputation, which is my, again, #1, which is 6. So I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to be such an easy get for me. What do I find? The shitty power. And sad too because his fielding was really good. The run speed looks really good. Sad. Anywho, Riley June. He had some interest, I think, from Arkansas this week. Yeah. Again, he can kind of go after all these top guys and just hope they're good, and then they'll still, even if they're not good, they'll still probably be all right because they're highly ranked, barring a disaster. Marshall Harrington, right off the rip, looks nasty. 94 power, still has 280 scout grades plus some high B fielding. Marshall Harrington looks disgusting, but boy, you see these 2 names and you're like, oh fuck. Because Florida and Stanford, if you're trying to 1v1 versus them, it's like ridiculous. They're just like, they can get whoever they want. So if they go all in on these guys, you're not getting them. And Marshall Harrington looks disgusting. So I think Marshall Harrington's going to get a lot of love from them. Jermichael, I scouted Jermichael, and honestly, I was not impressed with what I found. 148 velocity. So like they showed his good stuff. They showed his good hitting. They showed his good control. And I saw 49 run speed. I saw 148 velo, and I was like, I don't know. I thought for an athletic beast, he'd be a little bit faster, but maybe that's why he plays point guard and quarterback, because he can't actually run. Who knows? And pitcher, I guess. Manning McLaughlin, again, I think I scouted his fielding this week, maybe. Or something. Yeah, I think I might have. Yeah, it was either me or Georgia, but looked at their fielding, wasn't good. Callaway, didn't see anything there, but I think I did an action on him. Just a lot of 60s there. James Charles, this was Arkansas. Went in with their head coach. Boom. Like, already boom. 88 run speed, power. That's probably going to be a good gift for them. And then I was pleasantly surprised here. We got Kai Kardashian, which, again, another one of those Oregon initial interest guys, coach rep. And then, boom, 86 contact, 96 power. And, like, he plays first base, outfield. He's also a freshman, which is kind of nice because that means you get him for 4 years. Obviously, you can see this fielding doesn't look very promising. Probably going to be, like, something completely shitty. But we do play with the DH, so, like worst case, it's okay. So at this point, I basically see this, and I'm like, I'm going in. So we already did week 1, too, and everyone already has seen our week 1, but let's just say I went in, and we'll talk about that next week. Glass looks pretty good with his stuff he got scouted. You can see it. You can see that name, you're like, oh. But special pitch level 6, gross. Also, still a couple 80s here. Velo doesn't look good, so I don't know what the velo is going to be, but Reed Piper, nothing. You see Oregon. Skylar Beckett. Again, Stanford scouted some stuff there. A couple C's. There's Cole Rickman, who was that storyline guy. I think I saw it was 84 contact. Now that I'm doing this video, I think I realized that. So I don't know if that's actually 84 power or 84 contact, but one of them. And a couple other stuff. Maybe it's both. Maybe they're both 84. I don't know. Ashton Brooks, nothing. I think I did an action on him. Georgia and Oregon on Sawyer McKenna. And see these 80s here and like the 3 hitting stuff. It's always like decent to hope for like a DH at least. But Scara, nothing. And again, if this says nothing, it could be someone scouted them. We don't know. Faruqi, I did a pitch just because he's a coach rep guy, I think. Yep. If I see coach rep, you know I'm coming. I think that's pretty much it. You see Sly Cooper. That name looks a little familiar, so I think a couple people are jumping on that. Scouting behind the scenes based on what I heard from other stuff. Andrew Poust had an action from Arkansas. Maybe just saw this hitting stuff. Probably got a little excited. And then again, we talked about Alex already, so don't need to talk about that more. And that, I think, is it for week 1. Hopefully I can do this live when we get caught up, but it just didn't feel like it today. Maybe another time we'll do this live. You know, people in the chat asking to see certain stuff. But I think that I'll call it for spring training, let's call it. Hope everyone enjoyed seeing a little bit of the recruiting. Didn't get to see much of that the first season, so I think it's the best part. Like, we literally think about this shit all the time, all day, every day. Don't tell work, but spending time at work thinking about this shit. Can't sleep because of this shit because you're thinking about who you're going to recruit. It's a good time. This is a pretty fun league, so hope everyone can experience this and enjoy the recruiting process. Until next time, peace.